Last year, Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren were locked in a fierce battle in the race for Rookie of the Year. But far from what many people believe, their rivalry has been years in the making. Before they entered the league, before Chet's injury, before Victor had even set foot in the United States, the two centers already knew each other. They had already played against each other and had been forced to guard each other in a duel that would eventually carry over to the NBA. Now, this is not a normal rivalry. Chet and Victor have many things in common besides being practically the same age. Both are two players that anyone would have considered unicorns. They're both players with a unique frame that have defied the laws of the center position in modern basketball. And it's the versatility of these two difference makers that has made them two of the brightest prospects of their generation. From their head-to-head matchups before arriving to the NBA to the Rookie of the Year competition, the tension between them has been intense. But what caused this? When did it all begin? We need to go back to 2021. When the under-19 teams from two of the world's basketball powerhouses gave us a glimpse of the Olympic gold medal game that would take place 3 years later. We all know that Team USA has always been able to produce most of the great talents that reached the world elite, but France is now doing the same thing. In 2021, the U19 World Cup was held. An event where fans could watch the world's best prospects compete against each other, representing their nationality. And at that time, each of the two teams had a completely different player. In the case of Team USA, this was Chet Holmgren, that lanky center who was able to put the ball on the floor, shoot from long range, and defend perimeter players as if he were a wing. But France had a player with exactly the same profile. Victor Wembanyama was not yet the world phenom he would become a few months later, but he was already showing signs. In fact, at the time of the 2021 tournament, Wemby was already 7'2" at just 17 years of age. But the point is that both teams would be the ones to meet in the final of the tournament. Chet had been the key for Team USA, averaging 12.2 points, 6.8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3.2 blocks per game during that tournament prior to that game. In fact, Chet was one of the 3 players who had led Team USA during the tournament, along with future NBA players Kenneth Lofton Jr. and Jaden Ivey. But Wemby had also been incredibly important for France. His averages were very similar to Chet's, with 12.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and an eye-opening 5.3 blocks per game. And he was emerging as one of the best prospects in the world. So, understandably, everyone was waiting for that final in which these two unicorns would cross paths. So on July 11th, 2021, everyone was glued to the TV, and when Chet and Wemby made the opening jump, all the time for speculation was over. It was time for one of the rivalries that will mark the next decade to begin to unfold on the hardwood. The truth is that during the early stages of the game, Chet is the one who took the initiative, not only as a scorer, but Holmgren showed in that U19 World Cup that he was a center with a special court vision. Although that's one of the reasons why this year he will play forward after Hartenstein's arrival to Oklahoma, right? In this play, Chet starts the drive, but then doubles the ball to Adam Miller, who's wide open to score the three-pointer. Shortly after, Chet goes out in transition, taking advantage of his speed to get to the other hoop first. That's where he gets a good pass that allows him to finish the dunk. Yes, it's rare to see a 7-footer be the first to finish a fast break, but that's why Holmgren is such a special prospect. He was also putting in the effort on defense, trying to protect the rim on every play. Although on that occasion, Ouedraogo is able to score over him, but the Frenchman who just scored couldn't do things like this one. In catch and shoot, Holmgren scores a three-pointer from the right wing. Chet was able to bring the ball up thanks to his incredible ball handling. On this occasion, he comes out in transition after recovering a loose ball and makes a great lob pass to Jaden Ivey, the current Detroit Pistons player who has always had spectacular athleticism and leaping ability. And although the first quarter was undoubtedly for Chet, Wemby managed to score a hook off enormous difficulty in the face of the future Thunder player before both coaches decided to send both players to the bench for a well-deserved rest. But after a first quarter in which Team USA managed to win by 2 points, Wemby knew he had to carry the team in the second, and the French center went into takeover mode. First with a great putback dunk after a missed shot of his teammate, which he manages to reach thanks to his incredible frame. Then with an absurd alley-oop coming off a pick and roll, in which Victor receives a lob pass that only he can reach. But that was just the beginning. Those kinds of baskets were normal for a player of his height. What was not normal is what he did next. Look at this play. Wemby is posting up almost 20 feet from the hoop, and it looks like he doesn't have many options, but the center is able to come up with an incredible shot after a spin move followed by a step back. Not only does he score the three-pointer over his defender, but he also gets fouled for the 4-point play. Simply incredible. And no, he didn't make that shot by luck, because shortly after, Victor, instead of rolling after the screen, decides to show his pick and pop skills. He receives at the top of the key and scores another three-pointer on a catch and shoot in Caleb First's face. People were beginning to wonder, is there anything this kid can't do? Well, time would show us that there isn't. Nothing is impossible for him. At halftime, France was upsetting Team USA, winning by 5 points. But to be honest, the third quarter was not too spectacular from an offensive standpoint. Wemby was still dominating the boards with cunning and above all with his physical superiority, forcing Chet to do his best on every rebound. In the end, this effort was useless, as in this play in which he scores another putback dunk. But at that moment, Holmgren's basketball IQ was simply superior. Look at this play, where the center gets the ball at the three-point line, and after Jaden Ivey fakes the handoff, Chet throws a perfect pass to his backdoor cut. At the end of the third quarter, the United States is still trailing by 5 points, so Chet, along with Lofton and Ivey, had a lot of work ahead of him to put Team USA where it always historically belonged. But as the last quarter begins, he gets down to business. First with a handoff to Michael Miles, which the guard manages to convert into 2 points thanks to a nice floater, and then scoring himself, receiving the ball at the perimeter and driving baseline to finish with the reverse layup. When he played alongside Lofton Jr., Chet usually played as a pure forward, and that let him showcase his playmaking skills. On this play, he makes a great entry pass to Kenneth, who, abusing his incredible physicality, is able to score a contested layup. And on this other play, with a minute to go, Holmgren helps get a vital stop for Team USA, which ultimately gives them the victory. The game comes to an end, and the players celebrate a title they will remember for the rest of their lives. That night, Victor Wembanyama's stats were even better than Chet's. With his 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 blocks, the Frenchman showed what he was capable of even when competing with some of the best prospects in the world. And keep in mind that this performance also changed the perception of many fans who did not yet know that Victor Wembanyama was a player with such unlimited potential. In a way, this game opened the eyes of many people. But Holmgren's game, in which he had 10 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists, showed his adaptability to do whatever his team needed him to do. But more importantly, this game between these two players of tremendous potential allowed the duo to face off against each other for the very first time. It allowed them to realize that there are other players out there similar in skill and physical ability, and unforgettably, it allowed them to begin a rivalry that will undoubtedly be one of the most important of the next decade. And the best thing is that we don't have to wait to see it, because although Wemby is clearly in the lead after winning an uncontested Rookie of the Year award, the truth is that Holmgren is on a team where he will be able to aspire to be crowned champion as soon as next season. So from here on out, let's just grab some popcorn and enjoy the NBA's next biggest rivalry. We're not gonna want to miss this.